Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Get connected, Fitchburg. Sign up for Fitchburg Connect, the city's monthly e-newsletter that keeps you informed about all the events, services, and updates that matter to you. Get it in your inbox once a month. Sign up today to get Fitchburg Connect.
All right, we'll go ahead and call this May 11th RCC meeting to order. First item of business is appointment of a timekeeper. Diane, are you willing to take that on tonight?
Yes, of course.
All right. Very good. Public appearances on non-agenda items. Seeing none, and I don't have any slips in front of me. We'll move on to item number 3, approval of minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the draft minutes from the March 9th, 2026 RCC meeting?
So moved.
All right, a second. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all those in favor of the minutes from the March 9th, 2026 RCC meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, meeting's passed. Moving on to agenda items. We have first item of business is the RCC's role in monitoring plan development in Fitchburg. Ben, I'll let you take that one away.
Yeah, sure. So this was included, it was on the calendar, and I don't know who maybe recommended that as a topic, if there was anything in particular that they wanted to kind of touch on in regards to this topic. So I guess as I'm kind of going through this, feel free to just interrupt me if I'm not.
It could have potentially been Ron, but like I'm trying to think, but why don't you go ahead with what you interpret it as, and then we'll kind of fill in.
Sure. So just kind of at a high level, per the summary of duties that's kind of outlined for the resource conservation, it essentially says it's the Resource Conservation Commission should recommend policy enforcement and information to essentially carry out findings and provisions of Chapter 41, so that's solid waste and recycling, Chapter 30, that's the erosion control, stormwater management, and then Chapter 40, which is the stormwater utility ordinance. So essentially it's kind of policy recommendations, and that could be from an ordinance standpoint. So I think in regards to kind of private development, we'd be talking about kind of the Chapter 30 stormwater management and runoff control, which is actually something we can take a look at this year, perhaps even maybe the next agenda we could open that up. There's been some conversations about some changes we can make, and actually it's due for an update because there's some things that don't quite match up with what Dane County has. So there's a few things that Dane County has that's a little bit more stringent than what's in the Fitchburg ordinance. In those cases, we, the more stringent of the two ordinances is the standard that has to be met. So, even though there might not be some things in the Fitchburg ordinance yet that are in the Dane County ordinance, those things still have to be followed, but it'd be good to just go through and at least make sure all of those things kind of match, since it has to be enforced anyways. So I guess that's kind of one of the main mechanisms that that RCC kind of dictates policy or development related policy. Then I guess a second way that's a little bit more kind of specific to each development is when we go through our neighborhood planning process. So we just had the South Stoner Prairie neighborhood plan and then the Greenfield neighborhood plan that were approved. Was it this year or was it last year? Yeah. So we'll bring things like that because each one of those plans is going to have kind of a section related to it'll have a section kind of just largely related to infrastructure, and as part of that, it does get into kind of the stormwater management, but then also just from kind of a layout perspective of the plat. So, where can development occur versus not occur? So if there's things like creeks, wetlands, other kind of important environmental features, a neighborhood plan would kind of lay out, okay, you have to be this far away from any of these features, so you call that a buffer area. Mm-hmm. So that's another thing when we bring those kind of plans to RCC, commissioners then have kind of a chance to take a look at what's being proposed, and then recommend any kind of modifications or additions to the neighborhood plans. So that's kind of the second way. Mm-hmm. And then a third way would be through the city's comprehensive plan. So I bring that up now because the planning department is, I think, just starting to kind of make updates to the comprehensive plan. I don't know when they're looking to have that complete by, but certainly as they kind of dig into it, that will be brought forward to RCC as well. So there's certain things in the comprehensive plan, one of them being buffer areas. I think that's really one of the most important pieces, really to kind of protect some of the natural resources. So, for example, right now, I think the comprehensive plan just kind of has a general recommendation of like 300-foot buffer area from wetlands. So, that's kind of a current thing that's in the comprehensive plan.
Can you remind us again what the state statutes are? The DNR has rules for that, right? Is it like 75 feet in some instances and 150 in others, or?
So in Dane County, those buffer areas, minimum buffer areas, are dictated by what's called the environmental corridor policy. Mm-hmm. So Dane County basically contracts, maybe that's not the right word, but I'll say contracts CARPC, so that's the Capital Area Regional Planning Commission, to review any kind of plan that has a new sewer connection. They'll review those plans to ensure that it's consistent with the Dane County water quality plan. A lot of that has to do with the buffer areas. So like Bill was mentioning, there are some different minimum widths that's kind of outlined in this environmental corridor policy. So in some cases, you might need to have a 75-foot buffer from a waterway. It may need to be 150, depending on, I guess, the classification of the waterway.
Whether it's navigable or not.
Yeah, so there's some different things that would push a buffer to being greater than that 75 feet or 150 feet. And then beyond that, a city could put in more stringent standards as well. For instance, you have a critical or a very highly valuable wetland, and maybe.
So like West Wapisa would.
Perfect example, like the Wapisa wetlands. Now there's not really any development pressure there in that area now, but if there ever was, that's the kind of place where you would probably want to talk about well, how big of a buffer area could you have? So,
And there's a development or some infill just off of Lacey Road at the very headwater of Swan Creek. And plans came through and they were talking about, this is, preliminary, things might have to shift somewhat because there's still some open debate about how big the buffers needed to be on each side of the creek.
yes, so that's that parcel just south of Lacey Road, right? They wanted to, that their current development plan did not take into account the 150 width, buffer width. So, that plan wasn't going to work. CARPC is actually looking to make some modifications to their environmental corridor policy. I think they're gonna have a hearing, or they'll take some proposed changes to a vote at one of their meetings this summer. A lot of it has to do with how that buffer width is determined. So now it's navigable versus non-navigable, which would require, someone would have to go and get a navigability determination from DNR, which can be a little time consuming. So they're looking to change that to, instead of navigable or non-navigable, they change it to perennial or intermittent. So basically a stream that always has water running through it, or more of just an intermittent.
I was just gonna say, I imagine the creek is sometimes navigable, but oftentimes not. And so what fraction of the time? Does it have to be navigable for it to be considered as such?
Yeah, right, and the definition of navigable, I think, is a little vague. It basically just says someone would have to be able to, it's navigable if it has a defined bed and bank and someone could float a small watercraft in it on a recurring basis. What does a recurring basis mean? No one knows.
Is a kayak good enough, or does it have to be?
Right, so it's kind of vague. So I think they want to kind of go towards this intermittent versus perennial, which I think makes it a little bit easier because that information is already available right on the DNR's website. You can see if a certain reach is
I imagine there's a little bit of leeway there too. In a drought year, something that's perennial might run dry.
Right.
In an extra rainy season.
Yeah, for sure.
But kind of just by and large, those three areas that I listed, so changes to ordinance, review of neighborhood plans, comprehensive plans, would kind of be the three biggest things. At RCC, we don't look at every plan of development like Plan Commission does. So, we don't bring in every commercial development and kind of go through, here's what they're doing.
I mean, you guys are essentially doing that when you're reviewing, are they meeting the ordinances of Fitchburg, and then we're weighing in on certain things like that you mentioned just before.
Right, and
if I guess there's like a unique situation, where they're asking for some variance or something, then maybe that's where we come.
Yeah, I think so, because in most cases, you're right, it's like pretty cut or dry.
Yep.
Either they're meeting the ordinance or they're not. Maybe they're doing things on their site. Maybe we're reviewing it and we think, I wish they did a different design, but as long as it works, we don't really have the ability to dictate, hey, I think you should put your rain garden here. We could say maybe think about it, recommend it, but as long as they're meeting the requirements, there's only you can't design the site for them.
Right.
So I would agree. In those kind of limited situations where maybe there is some sort of a variance being requested. But for the most part, it kind of either meets it or not, and there's
Right.
not a whole lot to discuss about it.
Well, I mean, I think it's important, I mean, like, you know, for some of our newer members, you know, they haven't necessarily been through this, so just understanding kind of our role with some of those types of things with plan development. I mean, like, obviously, as you drive around Fitchburg, you're seeing it, you know, everywhere. You know, there's a lot of development going on right now, so, you know, I think, you know, just understanding like how it works across the board. I don't remember the full intent of having this agenda, but I think it is, you know, good to go over, you know, at this time and from time to time, and know that there are opportunities potentially coming up where we can have some impact on that. But I also think, you know, kind of where we could come in, you know, like as we're kind of setting our ordinances or our setbacks, like thinking about our highest quality wetlands, and you know, there is like a whole group for the West Waukesha watershed, so getting their input on it and trying to, you know, make, you know, good educated decisions on what those setbacks might be if we are going to go more strict than, you know, what is adopted locally or at the state regulatory level.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And you know, we brought a few kind of plat developments here just to kind of show what they're doing for stormwater, but we haven't done that for every plat that comes through. If that's something that people are interested in, we could kind of go over the stormwater management plans for the different plats. It might be more of just kind of like a show and tell, but certainly if there are, you know, questions or thoughts, you know, we can pass that along for sure.
And our domain is really wetlands and stormwater. It's all about water, right? So like, you know, the name of this is the Resource Conservation Commission, but we can't tell anybody that's too much impervious surface with road. And that, you know, why you have so many cars, you know,
Right.
why are you still hooking up to fossil gas in 2026?
Right, and that's kind of a good point, because a lot of, I think conserving resources ties a lot in with planning, right, and how land is being used. So I think most people would say building more, you know, more densely, putting people vertically is a good way to, you know, prevent urban sprawl and kind of, you know, continuing eating up farmland or other resources. So like when this comprehensive plan and zoning and planning ordinance changes, you know, it doesn't list the chapter, whatever the planning and zoning code is in the summary of duties, but I do think that is actually one that, you know, would make sense to go through RCC, because there's stuff in there that impacts kind of what's in our purview here.
Yeah, I think one other thing that comes to mind is just like with climate change, there's more intense storms that happen. And so like, you know, and I think there's maybe some, I don't know exactly what the Fitchburg rules of thumbs are off the top of, you know, what's set for like, you should size this to a 10-year storm or a 25-year storm.
If we know what the meaning of those terms is anymore, right?
Right, I mean like, those are changing, and so like, if we're finding that like, you know, our city's having a lot of stormwater issues because we're having 100-year storms every 10 years now, then, you know, maybe we should be, you know, trying to, potentially that's an area where we maybe get ahead of the curve to make sure our stormwater infrastructure is handling the changes of climate change. And so that might be another area where we could potentially, you know, weigh into this, I'm thinking. But, you know, like that always comes to mind for me when, you know, like as an engineer, we're designing, you know, something for like a development, and I'm like, well, maybe we should, you know, not go to the 10-year, you know, storm event, you know, so like a 10-year, 24-hour storm is like how much rain, you know, typically happens on a 10-year basis. Well, you know, like more often than not, that happens every couple of years, or, you know, there's a 100-year storm event every 5 years now. You know, like these things are just happening more and more frequently. So like our infrastructure, like instead of being shocked and like having flash flooding because we didn't have the right infrastructure in place, like we should be thinking about that on some level when we're putting together some of our ordinances related to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think I wanna redirect this. So what the commission does is just give recommendations, correct? We don't have any other way to stop the development, or they like make it more sustainable? I don't know.
So I mean, like, we're kind of like at, you know, kind of more of the policy level, so there's opportunities, like he was saying, with like the comprehensive plan, or if we're looking at like some of our ordinances related to stormwater, like we can kind of think about big picture things that are happening in the world and maybe make some recommendations, and then, you know, it's still probably gonna go through like, you know, some staffing and discussion, but like we can provide some input to some of those things, you know, based on some of our expertise, you know, that could be considered and potentially adopted as ordinance if, you know, like the environmental engineering department, Ben, and, you know, others on his team are, you know, in agreement with those things, you know, like, you know, this has been a problem for our community, and, you know, I think this is a, you know, a good recommendation, or this is, you know, going over the top, and, you know, RCC is making a recommendation beyond what I think is necessary here. So I think that's, you know, but like he was saying, like, we don't necessarily look at every development in and out. Like, it's more so like, let's kind of tap in with the big picture and like set some good, you know, parameters in place with our ordinances and comprehensive plan and things like that, in order to, you know, kind of set up, you know, all the developments to be kind of, you know, hitting these requirements and kind of, you know, fitting the needs of what we think needs to happen with planned developments as we move forward as a community.
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
Anybody have anything else on that front?
So I want to understand, so what is the process? Like, if there's a development, there's a big business that want to come and like buy a land, and then what do? They have a permit, and then after that, who approves what? Like, how is that?
Yeah, so they'd have to go through the architectural design review process.
Okay.
So, you know, let's say it's you know, a grocery store, and it's going into this area, and it's zoned, you know, to allow that type of business. In the zoning, it probably also has, you know, different setbacks, so the building has to be a certain distance from the property line. It probably has, you know, it has to provide a minimum number of parking stalls per employee or whatever. And then there's typically gonna be an impervious surface, a max impervious surface ratio. So, you know, maybe one site can build up to 85% of the site as impervious, where a different site that's zoned differently might have an impervious surface ratio of 65%. So, you know, there they have to have more green space on their site. So the zoning code kind of dictates a lot of that. And then it's plan commission that would vote on kind of the architectural design review. And then that goes to council as well for a final
And regardless of impervious surface, they've got to manage stormwater on the site. So they can't be leaking any stormwater to the neighbors, right? Unless there's a regional
detention pond, yeah. And you might also have a development in a site that has a neighborhood plan for it. So some of these neighborhood plans, like for example, the Hartung development was part of the McGaw Park neighborhood plan, and that neighborhood plan had some additional kind of stormwater management requirements in it that they had to follow. Yeah, does that kind of answer the question? Okay.
Thank you.
I guess maybe the short answer is we typically don't directly have a say in any particular plan. The rules have been set up ahead of time, partly with RCC's input, and then everybody knows what the rules are before they embark on a development project. So they, you know, they gotta know what to expect, right? So all the ordinances and they've got the comprehensive plan, so, and the neighborhood plan, so if somebody's coming forward with a development, they don't want surprises.
And then the staff is kind of reviewing those plans as they come forward, so RCC doesn't necessarily review those plans, they're just kind of upholding kind of what's been established already in the community. But you know, what Ben's saying is that some of those things are coming up for review or update, and so like it might be another opportunity for us to weigh in on some of those things with things that we think might be important for the community, but also just kind of listening to Ben, you know, like here's some of our problems, you know, like, you know, he has the opportunity to bounce it off of us as well.
Are we doing a timer?
Yeah. 6:50. Yeah, 57.
All right, anybody have any other questions on that? I think it was helpful to go through.
Yes.
I don't think we
Thank you.
go through that very often, so like it's just, it's part of our duties, and you know, we kind of like, you know, I think, you know, commissioners come in and like never really get kind of that background on everything that's happening on the development side, so I think helpful for, you know, just our commissioners to understand, you know, kind of everything that's, you know, going into that and what's already been done, the groundwork's already been laid. So moving on to agenda item 4B, plastic-free July planning. So Kim and the commission, Kim is on the phone tonight. She's done some articles in previous Julys. We've done some plastic bag, bring your own bag events at grocery stores during the month of July. You know, trying to ramp it up. I know she's done some efforts, like even, you know, beyond just the, you know, Fitchburg limits, you know, on this front. You know, we also will have an opportunity with one of our, so we don't have a film this month in May, but we will have one in July. So, you know, maybe there's an opportunity there to do a plastic-free film or some film on plastic over at the library. But Kim, I'll pass it over to you. I don't know how much you've thought about this, but feel free to kind of share a little bit about maybe what you've done in the past and what you think we might be able to accomplish this July.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I ran into Ron over the weekend at the greenhouse, and so I shared with him kind of my ideas on an event or a couple of events for this year. But as Chris said, in the past, we've really tried to do some educational outreach opportunities, and Ben and Chris and a few other members of the commission have helped out with it, where we've partnered with Hy-Vee and Pick and Save to educate the community to bring their own bags, and we would hand out coupons or incentives, and we would have a table set up with facts and information on the harmful effects of plastic. And we've done this the last couple of times, last couple of years, and I mean, I think it's kind of hit and miss with, you know, the folks, you know, you get a lot of folks who do bring their own bags, and so they're the ones who tend to stop and have a conversation with you. So we're kind of preaching to the choir. But as I've been thinking about additional ways to do outreach on plastics, I had an opportunity a couple of months ago, and I reached out to Ben to see if he would be able to attend, but there was a group, I had signed up online for this group. They were called Ridwell, and they were started in, I think it was Vermont, and it basically trying to recycle plastics. And they sent out a postcard and did a couple of events in Wisconsin. And one of the events that they did was in Fitchburg at the public library. And so Ben joined me for that event. And we were astounded at the number of people who turned up for this event. Basically, the room where we showed the films was packed, and the person doing the presentation kind of talks through how there's a lot of communities that can't accept various plastics for recycling. And so by signing up with their program, you can mail your plastic to these different facilities and locations. And, you know, there's kind of a, I don't know, there was like a list of what it would cost and everything. And so Ben and I were kind of chuckling because we had started the we had started the recycling efforts here in Fitchburg on site. And it just made us realize not a lot of people were familiar with this new endeavor that we were doing. And so when Ben and I were leaving the event, I said, what if instead of doing a bring your own bag event for Plastic Free July, we do like an outreach education effort. You know, we think about how we reach a number of people to show up, and we educate them on Fitchburg's ability to take various plastics, you know, at our drop-off location. And so Ben liked the idea as well. So I haven't had a chance to kind of talk with you, Chris, or the outreach committee on this, but I think that is something that we would probably get a lot more involvement and interest in people to show up and learn more about our efforts. And, you know, I think it's something we could definitely target for July and, you know, still focus on the Plastic Free July and kind of do more of an educational outreach. And we could target different parts of the city, you know, like we've got our great new facility, the hub that you guys held an event at, and then we can kind of maybe move it around to various parts of the city. In my work role, I am a part of a recycling plastic group with the Great Lakes Committee, and we work with organizations all across the state of Wisconsin and who are doing other types of outreach and plastic-free events. And there's a woman who just recently joined, and she is part of a Beyond Plastics Madison group. And she and I realized that we had a lot of similar focus that we were working on. And so she and I are going to talk. And I said, you know, maybe we can partner on an event. And they're going to be doing an event in September. So I think there's so much potential out there now. And there's so many people who are really interested in, you know, learning more about how to recycle plastic. So that's kind of what I'd like to focus on for July. And then maybe we, you know, do it again in the other months where we're not holding a film as well. And then maybe keep it going throughout.
So Kim, are you thinking of?
So thoughts on that?
Yeah, are you thinking of film and potential speaker in one single event? Or are you thinking two separate events, or do you want to just?
No, I'm thinking that we would do similar to kind of what we did way back when we did, you know, when we worked with like the Boys and Girls Club, you know, and we did kind of a presentation. So I'm thinking of this as separate from any film. We would do an event in July that would be focused on educating people about the fact that now we can recycle plastics here in Fitchburg at our drop-off site and bring actual examples of the type of plastics that can be recycled, and do, you know, we can do background on kind of the, you know, the effects of plastic, and then kind of talk about what is accepted, you know, what's accepted curbside and what's accepted at the drop-off site. So it's more of an educational, so that our people that live in Fitchburg have the knowledge of where to go and what to do about different types of plastic.
Go ahead.
Hey Kim, I have a question. So for this event, have you thought about recording it and maybe putting it in the Fitchburg website?
FACTv. You know,
I'm sorry, the Fitchburg what?
The TV, FACTv, I think it's called. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've done some interviews and that sort of thing. So yeah, that would definitely be something. And then I was thinking for my article, because I usually do something on Plastic Free July, that I would also, you know, kind of talk about this. I know that there was an article that the other Diane had published in the Fitchburg Star as well, but it could be, you know, a different focus as well. But just more of, I think, getting the word out, because I think one of the things, and I missed last month's, or, you know, the last meeting we had, you know, just trying to get attendance and people to show up, and figuring that piece out. And when Ben and I went to that event, and the fact that so many people were there and they were willing to pay to mail away their plastic, just was so eye-opening. And it's kind of like, well, actually, you don't need to do that because we're doing it right here in Fitchburg. But all of these people didn't know that. So I think there's a real opportunity to really do some outreach in different parts of the city on, you know, the ability to recycle these plastics.
so are you thinking at a different venue than the library potentially, like the hub? Would that be a good location?
Yeah,
You know, with them
yeah.
having a lot of
I was
multifamily
thinking,
recycling there, would that work?
yeah,
Is that the right
yeah.
audience?
I don't know. I mean, I think I'm just throwing this out there. I think it would be good for maybe our outreach group to get together and kind of
Mm-hmm.
talk it through, and whether or not the first one in July was a multifamily one, or maybe we just do the first one, you know, at the library, or we do it somewhere else, and then we can expand out
Okay.
to other locations in the city. I don't see this as a one and done. I see this as, you know, maybe an ongoing outreach and education opportunity, to really get people invested in this and realize that, you know, I think people now are waking up and they really want to do something about it. They just don't know where to go and what to do,
Okay.
and, you know, which plastics, you know, they can recycle.
Very good.
So
Anything
I
else?
think more to kind of figure out on that, but I think, and then, you know, depending on the film, like you said, the film in July, if there is something, I know I looked before and I couldn't find anything on plastics that was free, but there could be some more opportunities now, you know, and so we could then, if we found something, we could then use that also as a way to do some more educational outreach as well.
Right. And is Netflix one of our options for plastic?
Unfortunately, it's not.
Okay.
It's not with the library, because I know there's a ton. Trust me, I've watched them and I've shown them at our conservation camps and stuff. Yeah, we're kind of stuck with going through the library process. But then I think they did have access, I want to say, to maybe Prime as well. So I'll reach out to Rebecca and see, you know, what some additional options are. Because
Okay.
I think if I tell her what I'm specifically looking for, she might be able to come up with something.
Yeah, I feel like we've done a plastic-free film like way back when, like 10 years back.
Yeah, and that was before we had to go through the library
Yeah.
film process.
Yeah, right.
That was before they set it up.
Yeah.
It was a lot easier back then to just pick any film.
Yeah, right. Okay. Anybody else have any other questions or comments on this?
Just really quick, Kim, what is your target audience?
I think it's basically anyone in Fitchburg. You know, I think anyone who uses our drop-off facility in Fitchburg. So families, you know, I think there's a whole different, because we've done this in the past where we've targeted like single family homes, and then there's a whole different group and target with, you know, multifamily dwellings and apartments and stuff. And all of that then comes down to what, where they live, because some of them might have a Madison address, you know, they might have a different waste hauler than what we use. So I think for this first one, it would just be, you know, single family homes.
Right.
Okay.
But with the ability
And then
to
we can expand out.
expand out and figure out what our messaging would probably be different if we're going into multi-family,
Right. Yeah.
or still
Yes.
kind of depends on where
Yep.
we go with it. But like,
Yep.
you know, what we know the best, you know, like is, you know, and where most people can use those facilities that are available to us is
The drop off.
focusing on the single family residents, folks that might be attending it, because there seems to be a gap in people knowing that that's available. But, you know, there's obviously work to be done in the multifamily, like on all levels of recycling, but it's, you know, like it's not under Fitchburg, so then the messaging is a little bit different and the approach is a little bit different when we go in and do that. But we have done like, you know, cool recycling events in multifamily in the past where we will go in and we'll order pizza, bring it in, and just kind of teach people about recycling, like just what is recyclable, you know, like starting there, like, you know, and some, you know, like I remember, you know, like, you know, even aluminum cans, like there was some question in whether that was recyclable or not. So like, you know, sometimes it, you know, is, you know, really kind of, you know, basic in terms of, you know, kind of the, you know, education, but like it changes, you know, like, and we have to kind of feel that out with each, you know, community and thinking, you know, like how we're gonna present it, like, so like, it's definitely a customized approach if we're going out, but like, we'd love to go out to other places, you know, whether there's like a community room in an apartment complex or, you know, using the hub in some capacity. We just have to make sure that our messaging is on point with the people that are gonna be attending. All right. Thanks, Kim. Appreciate it.
All right.
We'll set up a community outreach meeting, I think, sometime in the next few weeks.
Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Do you guys have another social media, like any other way that the this commission can just share the events or?
We don't, so like I'll share things with Ben, he shares out through the city of Fitchburg. So that's like our primary social media, but then as commissioners, like the individual neighborhoods we're in, we can all kind of take that same message and share it out. So like there'll be a flyer or an image and some content generally, and then we can share that out to our individual groups. And then we do have like our green e-news. So like right now, those are our primary ways to get things out. You know, those systems can always be improved. So if you have ideas on that front to improve our outreach as you kind of get more and more involved, let us know.
Kim raised her hand.
Oh, Kim, did you?
Oh, sorry, I accidentally hit the wrong button. I was trying to mute myself, so sorry about that.
It's all right, no problem. So moving on to agenda item 4C, sustainability event planning. So this is the one, Ryan, where we've been talking about a sustainability tour and kind of teaming up with Andy Pops from the Parks Department. So I know you've had ongoing conversations. I don't know if there's any, I mean, I guess it's been a couple months since we've had a meeting, so we.
Yeah, I mean, they're not a huge update or
Yeah.
anything like that. It's really with Andy right now. He's kind of coordinating that end of it. I know he's got a request into Badger Talks. I
Okay.
think the intention is still to have somebody from Badger Talks
Okay.
kind of lead a speech or kind of lead a presentation, depending on what we're doing. So I think the plan was to do Dunn's Marsh and focused on
Mhm.
wetlands,
Okay.
water, and then kind of do a walk around the marsh and have, you know, Ken come with and kind of answer questions as we went. That's where I think it's left at this point, is that there's a request in with Badger Talks, and I don't know if the end of the school year is impacting availability
Yeah.
at the time, but I think the intention is still to at least have one of those this year, and then maybe try and do a bike event sometime maybe in the fall.
Okay.
Once we get one up kind of off the ground.
Yeah, so I guess, I don't know if Andy has like a timeline in mind,
Last time
but
I
like
had-
that might be something where you kind of like, you know, if we put a target out there, like
Yeah.
we'd like to have, you know, like this event to happen for the, you know, like we know we have things coming up in July, and so, you know, things are gonna be pretty busy then, so like
Sure.
we should maybe think out like when do we wanna
Mhm.
have this event potentially happen, either it's happening in June, in which case, you know, like we need to probably, you know, maybe hit the accelerator
Right.
and say like, hey, do we think this is possible, and like bird dog that effort if we really want to push for it to happen in June, or else we think maybe ahead to August, September, and maybe that's combined with the tour. So
Sure.
maybe having that conversation with him would be the right action item for now. And then depending on how he responds to that, maybe we can talk it over at our community outreach meeting,
Oh, sure.
and then, you know, bring that to the table, you know, in June. And if something is happening in June, then we'll probably send an email out to people and just say like, hey, you know, there is a speaker available, let's say June 20th, just throw a date out there or something like that.
Mhm.
And we need to kind of like, you know, then we're gonna probably let the commission know ahead of the next meeting, at least let you know that, hey, this event has come to be, we have a speaker lined up, we're gonna make this happen, and, you know, talking about it at our next meeting isn't gonna be soon enough.
Yeah.
So,
So one other thing that we should probably consider is the boardwalk just off the Cap City Trail out to the springs that Promega is building. This was under construction over the winter, and I think it's, you know, it's nearing completion.
is it over here, or is it?
It's just east of Eagle School.
So it's more up by their other facility out closer
It's
to
by
the
that
highway?
USONA facility
Right.
that they just built, so like Glacier Valley, Delview.
Okay. Oh, so down here.
Yeah.
So if you, yeah,
Okay,
so
got
if you're on the Cap City Trail at Eagle School and you head
Yeah, I
east,
don't
it's
know.
probably like, I don't know, less than half a mile.
Yeah.
So, you know, people could maybe park it in the Eagle School area there and do a walk.
That'd be cool.
That is a pretty nice set of springs back there.
Yeah.
It's been a favorite of mine to go hiking out there, and I've so far only been able to do it in winter when the ground is frozen and there's enough snow to even out the rough terrain. But now that there's a boardwalk,
Isn't there a spa there? And the spa just face Eagle School? Are you talking about that space?
a spa?
Yeah, it's a spa. It's like a bunch of different, I guess, businesses, and then one of them is a spa in the
Oh,
corner.
well, that's a
It
little
has a
bit
view.
different. You want to pull up a map?
I can pull it up here.
And I guess while you're doing that, I'll just ask, does anybody know why we didn't do Lomo May this year?
I talked to somebody about that at the event that we had at the hub.
The fair, yeah.
I was to Ho Chi.
Yeah, and I think, I was actually talking to somebody from the UW Extension about it that was, our neighbor essentially at that event. And, and I think, I was just asking about that, and like, I guess there isn't like extensive research on the low mow, like actually having a major benefit. It's more beneficial to have like native plants on somebody's property, potentially, like, so there's spaces for pollinators to pollinate. So that was somewhat, his opinion, and I don't know like exactly what Phil's or, Ben, if you have anything to weigh in on this. I think this is, but I haven't seen as much of it from, even like, kind of the more regional side, like a Sustained Dane, was really kind of pushing it a couple years ago, and I really haven't seen, like I get all their newsletters, I haven't seen that be pushed as much with them, and I just haven't seen it pushed as much this year. Like, I think the no-mow May was like a little bit overboard, because then people were getting, lawns that were out of hand, like, and I know that, the low-mow May was something that people were doing a little more frequently, but I think, really kind of what we want is more, native areas within people's landscapes that they're considering putting in or dedicating some space to.
Maybe a little less mow all year long because you've cordoned off an area to put some native plantings in.
So I think
convert your yard into prairie.
well, some people do that, yeah. So yeah, I don't know if you have any input on this. I mean, this is kind of like
Yeah,
over your area.
That's my understanding too, is if you don't mow, you just end up with more dandelions. And dandelions are not really quality food for a lot of the pollinators we're trying to promote. I mean, it'd be like,
Well, what
it'd
about
be like
creeping
subsisting on like, I don't know, Captain Crunch or something.
Yeah.
Tastes good. All right. So here's City Hall, just down kind of by my cursor. And then, so the trail is right up here. There's Eagle School. And I'll zoom in a little bit. And you'll have to remind me exactly where.
Well, see that yellow, the short yellow vertical bar just to your right? It's not too much further. Or maybe at by that curve there in the Cap City Trail.
Go to your southwest a little bit.
Yeah, that's where like right around in there.
Right there. Okay.
So you can kind of see the spring right on a few inches up, or the creek that's fed by the spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So the boardwalk takes you from the Cap City Trail to the springs.
From that nearest point
Yeah, so,
on the bike path?
right, exactly. So, like,
Right about there.
nobody on the camera can see this, but yeah, it's right around here. So and if you walk over there, you can see the boardwalk is all built, but it's fenced off right now. But it takes you through these woods here, and then right there is the big spring. It's probably, I mean, when I say big, it's big for a spring. It's probably
the start
like,
of the 9 Springs?
yeah.
Okay.
It's right at the end, right in the middle.
Like there's a very big boily,
Oh, that's pretty cool.
yeah, it's feet across.
Yeah.
And I used to have a walking stick that I would just put right by the side of the trail there, and it stayed there for like, I don't know, 2 years or something, but we would just, we would take that and use it to bushwhack our way through if necessary, and then when we get out to the spring, like the stick was it was taller than me, so it was more than 6 feet tall, and I would push it down, and it was like 0 resistance going down for like 4 or 5 feet. And it's just, so it's just like quicksand, yeah, it's just like sandy water.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Cool to.
That's super cool.
So how did you get out there before they built the park? Or you just would hike out in that area and you found?
Yeah, like I said, we would do it in winter when the ground was frozen and there was
Oh, I
enough
see.
snow that it was fairly level.
Okay,
Right.
got it.
That
That's
makes
pretty neat.
sense.
All right, so that could be part of, so what you're saying is that could be part of
We don't have to
event
wait
would-
for the Badger Talks guys.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
as soon as that thing is open, we could plan, we
Okay.
could plan now to have a walk as soon as
So it's gonna
there's.
be community accessible, it's not just a Promega private?
Correct,
Yep.
yeah.
Good, Paula. And there's, you know, a lot of stuff you could talk about, just, you know, well, 9 springs in general, and
Yep.
there's more than 9 springs, but it'd be kind of just an interesting thing to talk about, you know, the history of it and kind of how it was formed and all that.
Well,
Talk
and-
about that, you know?
A little bit.
If we did have an expert in water ecology, that would be great too, because like if you just dip in a glass jar or something and pick it up, you're gonna find watercress and snails and little freshwater shrimp things that look, you know,
Oh, wow,
and, yeah, all sorts of stuff
that's really cool,
in there.
right in our backyard.
Yeah.
I have my father-in-law that he's a hydraulic engineer.
Oh, okay.
He had his firm, Montgomery Associates.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, I think I talked to you about it, so maybe
It's,
I can ask him.
EOR now, right?
EOR,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Who's
Maybe.
your
We
father?
do work with the
My
city.
father-in-law,
What's his name?
Robert Montgomery.
Oh, that's your, okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
So maybe I can ask him if he can.
He would know. He did a lot.
Yes, he did a lot of work
the,
here.
yeah, right in this area. Probably the original stormwater management plan for this area, actually.
And your dad knows quite a bit too,
Oh
like
my
he was a speaker at an event I went to that was actually it was the Wisdom of Water event. It was down on campus at the Energy Center the same day as our event out at the Hub. So I went down to that event put on by Mundo Esperanza, and I missed her father, you know, but I saw his name as a speaker and a panelist. I'm like, you know, and I told her at the Hub event, I'm like, I think your dad just spoke at this event I went to, even though I was doing my waterway cleanup and I missed his talk in the morning. But the talk I did catch was like, you know, the canoes that have been found in Lake Mendota, so, and the different woods that were used and how they use the different woods to time stamp the time those canoes were made, which was really pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
They're both hydraulic engineers.
yeah,
That's funny.
alright,
Projects
so,
together.
I mean, I think, you know, gives us new leads, and I think we can kind of take this all into consideration as we start to kind of come up with an event, so we'll reach out to you as we start to formulate what this event's gonna look like a little bit more.
Sure.
But,
You know, you're more than welcome to do it too, you know,
Yeah.
I don't have to.
yeah, no, I mean, we'll just kind of chase it forward more, and then we'll pull in different commissioners as it kind of hits expertise or connections. So, okay. Anything else on that front?
I'm not sure if it belongs under this agenda item or not, but Ben, are you gonna have a Renew the Blue update for us tonight?
Not tonight, but at the next meeting, I can add one. I can add a short one in the staff update section.
Okay.
We've just kind of had one real meeting, so there's not a ton to report back. I think I should have more, probably at our next council meeting. Ron and I will be at another Renew the Blue meeting Wednesday this week. So that'll be our second one, and I think we'll get a little bit more work done this time around.
And then, are we gonna have any involvement with the Efficiency Navigator program at all?
I would have to talk to Phil about that one. I don't have
Okay.
really any.
That'll be super interesting.
I'm sure we could have Sustained Dane come in and do a talk on it or something of the nature.
Yeah, we can talk about that.
It's a
Maybe
great
when we
program.
have Phil at the next meeting, we could make that an agenda item.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's it on sustainability event planning. Moving into old business, agenda item 5A, Green Thursday Event Planning Commission. So I think this we might have already hit. So like I'm kind of thinking of our film series. So we kind of already talked about, like, I think Kim is trying to target, if we can find one, on Amazon Prime, it sounds like. You know, if there is a film that we can tie into plastic for July, that's what we're gonna try to do, to kind of hit that theme. So we'll have to see if we can do that. I don't really have anything more on that, Kevin.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention one thing that, you know, I think would be nice to do if we could get everything figured out, but just to send a postcard basically to residents with, you know, dates of activities and stuff. So I would you know, imagine putting you know, a postcard that would have the July, September, December Green Thursday events, the shred event. You know, if we have this sustainability event.
Could you have like a magnet thing to put in the fridge?
Could try that. I don't know how much that
I don't
costs.
remember.
That would be the big
'Cause I
thing.
had
They
one
do
from
have 'em
Fitchburg,
out
yes.
there for like the
Concerts
Monday
in
concerts.
McKee,
and-
yeah.
Yes. Concerts in
That'd be
McKee.
very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
If it can be done within the budget, that would be awesome. But yeah, I'd have to
Just raise the fee.
There you go. But I think at least a postcard would be a nice thing, and really it'd be nice maybe going forward. I'd kind of like to make a goal for myself to kind of send those out annually, maybe more towards the beginning of the year, if we're able to like
Figure it out,
Get-
like
get
get
some
a template
dates.
and get a first version out for the second half of this year.
Yeah,
Essentially.
something like that, and just to see if that, you know, moves the needle at all on kind of,
I mean, we have a lot of people come to our shred and electronics events. Certainly,
and that's, you know, postcard gets sent out, so I feel like a postcard works
Yeah.
to some degree.
So we've also got, you know, the green news blast that Phil sends out. We've got Fitchburg Connect. We've got this, you know, you can send stuff out via the city's social media channels. Do we have any idea what kind of an audience that actually hits? Like the effectiveness of that sort of thing, and you know, include Fitchburg Star in that too.
Sure.
Versus getting a postcard in the mail. Do we have any idea how effective one means is over the other?
Yeah, so I don't know exactly how many people are signed up for the Green E-News.
Phil has said it's
knows it.
low hundreds, I think, right?
Okay.
Like
I thought
300
it
or
was
something.
150 to 200, but
Okay.
Hundreds.
We'll call it low hundreds.
It's certainly hundreds, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not more than 1,000.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, you know, how many, you know,
I would.
go ahead, Kim.
Oh, I was just gonna say, when I was working the recycling event, I was asking people as they were coming through where they heard about it, and you know, some of it was the green e-news, and some of it was the sign, you know, that gets posted up there. But it is amazing to me how many people, even a lot of my friends, don't know about it and don't see it, you know, even when I'm posting, you know, in Next Door Neighbor, or, you know, on our Facebook page, you know, for our neighborhood. So I really agree, and I think that the postcard will hit more people
Yeah.
if we can do that.
I mean, I think people that, you know, I think generally you know, the older generation, you know, like still is pretty dependent on the mail, but like, you know, marketing is like all forms, you know, like, you know, certain people are looking at certain things, you know, like, you know, if you send out emails, like, you know, there's a good chance that only 25% of the people are actually gonna open that, and that's based on things I've done in constant contact, and it's like, how organic is your list that you have? And I think our list is pretty organic, so I feel like the open rate is probably more like 30, 40, or 50% on that, but you're still only getting, you know, that much, you know, from, you know, just kind of that's industry percentages, you know, like on opening emails, because we all get so many emails now, it's hard to get through all of them, and even if somebody opens it, do they really read it even, you know, is, you know, another facet to that. So the social media things, you know, sometimes people get it, but like it's also kind of dependent on like you know, how well is that received? Is there some, you know, like, is our image good to like pull somebody in? Is the event title good? You know, like sometimes it starts with that, like if, you know, you have an image and a, you know, captivating title, you know, can be more effective than, you know, because then it's like getting like likes and people are saying that I'm gonna go to this event. And when that happens, then that spreads out more organically and more people, you know, automatically see it in that situation. So like, it depends, you know, almost for every type of, you know, event, you know, like, you know, I look at, you know, kind of the cross-section of people that are coming to our paper shredding and electronics recycling event, and, you know, it tends to be, you know, probably more of a single-family residence crowd, I think, than it, you know, multifamily crowd. You know, like it's just, you know, I don't see as many younger, you know, 20s and 30s folks. I see people generally, you know, 40s, 50s, 60s and above, you know, that are using, you know, that event, and, you know, that's kind of off of the mailing. You know, we have captured this information at some of our outreach events that we've had. Like I remember like our e-bikes event that we had, you know, down at the park shelter. You know, I remember from that event, like a lot of people like had seen the posting of a flyer that we did over at the senior center.
Yeah.
And that was like the main driver. So like then putting the flyers out. So like, you know, marketing is kind of like, you know, touching people in different ways, and they're seeing it in different spots. You know, and we have like a limited budget and, you know, limited resources to do marketing. Like it's, you know, like we don't have a budget to do commercials and whatnot, but like, you know, if we're diligent about doing, you know, kind of the things that we can do within the context of the budget that we have, like, you know, that's really kind of gonna, you know, we've seen that it produces pretty good attendance. You know, sometimes, you know, like our follow through and our ability to get the message out, you know, maybe is better for some events than others, you know, and the timing that we're getting it out and what other events are going on in the community. So, but I think we have like an established approach that we try to follow for those and includes those things, but you know, attendance kind of depends on the interest in the topic somewhat too.
Do we need to start like a TikTok or something?
Oh gosh.
Can you dance?
Oh, I can dance.
Yeah, I believe it. Stomping out the fire. So remind me again how we get the 8.5 by 11 sheet that has the recycling and brush collection, the calendar. How does that come to my house every year? It's on my door.
So, yeah.
Can we include a postcard with that, I guess is my point, and possibly save
you
some
could.
money on
You
postage?
definitely could. So this year it was in the Fitchburg Star. So it was, there's a half-page ad. And then people will just download it online. I think it's.
So not everybody gets the Fitchburg Star in the community, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Who gets it? Sorry.
So there's like, what do we have, 6,000 households in the
Yeah,
family
it's
households?
just over
and-
six.
And then roughly the
6,000.
same number of rental units.
Mhm. And how many people, like, do people in rental units get the Fitchburg Star? I
They don't, but they also don't get, they're also not on the city's trash program.
Right.
So
Okay.
the calendar wouldn't do much good for them.
But of the 6,000 single-family residents, how many of those are getting, is it like half of it? Half of
Oh,
it?
I think it's
I think it's almost all of them.
Almost all of them?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It might be like that Williamsburg Way area maybe, where there's some homes that don't.
Okay. So it's like over 90%?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
our knowledge, okay.
I do like the idea of a magnet, but I don't know if I like, you know, I'll call it a single-use magnet where it's, you know, it's like this big, you stick it on the fridge and it has this year's events, and after the last event is done, the thing is completely useless. I don't know if we, I guess, maybe look into that, but I guess I would think it'd be pretty cool to have like a, you know, one of those rare earth magnets, the stronger magnets, like Fitchburg branded, and then a paper postcard. You could even put a little,
Like you can put it
Yeah.
like.
you could even put a little circle on there. Magnet goes here,
Sure.
you know, and that way the magnet lasts forever and is forever useful, and every year you get a postcard that is recyclable.
Yeah. I'll have to look at it.
Yes, Bill, I'm with you.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. It's more sustainable.
I was thinking it's not going to break down in a landfill when it gets thrown out.
Right.
Right.
$6,000. One of those little
So how
neodymium
many
magnets.
people are
Right.
in Fitchburg? 35,000?
And, you know,
About
Fitchburg
35,000.
branded with little clover on it or whatever.
Clover would be cute.
Anything else on Green Thursday events? I know we got maybe a little off topic there, but good discussion.
Yeah, so at the tree planting event, I met, her name is Tierney. I think she was an intern or something a couple years back with Anna.
Yeah, last year.
But she just got her PhD, and we thought, well, you know, just chatting with her, and we thought, well, hey, maybe she wants to give a presentation. And so, you know, maybe getting Anna and Tierney together and do a presentation on the hidden value of trees, which is not, you know, a lot of it's hidden, but a lot of it's not.
Yeah, so then there's the Tree Diversity Committee?
Tree Advisory Committee.
Advisory Committee. So I think we've had some, you know, some of them, you know, I think we've had some recent conversation with them, and we've already done an event with them, like we did a tree diversity event back in 2021 with them. You know, and it went well, so we worked together, our subcommittee, you know, worked with their, you know, our subcommittee for community outreach worked with the tree advisory committee and came up with that event. And so, you know, it's been about 5 years, so, you know, be another, you know, good event to have and potentially have them talk about it. You know, I know, you know, we've done some other events where we've had Anna there as well. So,
Okay. So I guess if everybody's okay, I will follow up with the two of them and see
if there might be interested in,
Yeah.
like.
They were
So-
definitely interested. I don't know how strongly they were interested, but.
Okay,
That's super cool.
thank you. All right, so moving on to agenda item 5B, RCC April events recap. Ben?
Yeah, so we had our 3 events. First, we had our shred event, which went very well. Let me share my screen here. I'll bring up the chart. All right, so this just kind of shows collection totals for paper and electronics going back to the first event, or I don't know if it was the first event, going back to 2017. So we're here on the far right from this last event. The totals were 11,000 pounds of paper and just over 10,000 pounds of electronics. So this was one of those rare years where there was actually more paper collected than electronics. But
That's a surprise with how many electronics we were unloading.
I know it felt super busy. So I was very shocked to see that number. I thought it would be higher than 10,000, but I guess it was slow and steady.
The density of paper has remained the same forever, but the density of electronics keeps going down as stuff miniaturizes.
Yeah,
That's
we
true.
didn't
Like,
have.
you don't have as many tube TVs coming in?
We did it. I think
No
we
more
only-
900-pound console TVs.
For the most part, gotten rid of those.
Yeah.
And then we just have like small laptops and a lot of phones that we dealt with, but then
And a lot of time going through making sure there's no batteries.
that too.
But yeah, thanks to everyone that was able to help out and volunteer. It was very well attended. We had lines out onto almost near Fish Hatchery, backed up on Lacey. So, I mean, not great, but it means that a lot of people came, so that's positive. And yeah, no one got hurt, no accidents. So yeah, very. very good.
In previous
event
years,
overall.
I was at the electronics recycling, and this year I was doing the paper, and holy cow, it was just a nonstop onslaught, and then suddenly a brief respite of like 3 minutes before another onslaught.
Yeah, electronics, we normally work through kind of in the first half hour to 45 minutes, work through the initial surge of electronics, and then, then it's just kind of steady, but,
Trickle.
a
right?
trickle of people coming through. It never really
This
slowed
year,
down. I mean, we like,
Fire hose the whole
we would
time.
send off like 10 cars, and then we'd be like, like really quickly, and then I'd be like, oh, that line has to be down now, and then she's still lying around the corner. Like,
Yeah,
we couldn't believe it.
it never really stopped, so it made for a very fast day, that's for sure. It didn't feel like 3 hours.
No, and our volunteers certainly help them out. Like they thanked us quite a bit over the course of the day. Like we're able to get through so much more volume with your guys' help to unload these vehicles, and so Ben and Ryan and we got a good workout in those 3 hours for sure.
Learn more about the employment of those people there too.
Yeah.
Some insights into that, which is fun.
Yeah, so thanks again. It was a great event. We'll be looking forward to our one in September. I believe I want to say September 19th. Yeah, September 19th.
There's a home football Badger game, so we'll see how that goes. But I think it has been in the past. I don't know, last year it might have been.
It's a good thing they're not there very good.
Yeah,
Yeah, the season tickets are probably dropping, so again this year. But
We're cycling for the paper event.
we're no Ohio State, all right?
Waterway cleanups also went very well. So Chris, I saw you had collected quite a few bags.
Yeah, not our record year, but I think, we had a pretty good turnout. We had probably, I think, 12 to 15 people cleaning up, which is, a good number and consistent with what we've had in years past. But I think, we only had like 10 to 12 bags total. And so I attribute some of that as to like we had Cyene Road under construction this last year, so there wasn't a lot of traffic on that over the past year compared to prior years, and so I think across the board there was less trash noticed, which I think is a good thing, but partly I think it's maybe attributed to Cyene Road being down pretty much all of last spring, summer, and
Makes
fall.
sense.
So we measure the weight of the paper and the electronics. Have we ever weighed the garbage that we clean up from the waterway cleanup?
We have not, and we don't. The city doesn't weigh the electronics, or it's just the pelletary and resource solutions. But
I guess it'd be nice if we had some sort of a quantitative measure of of what we cleaned up.
I mean, it's normally like number of bags of trash collected is like has been kind of our.
Which is a pretty squishy sort of a thing, some bags.
It's pretty squishy, like I don't know if we have like so typically like city trucks are coming through and picking up, like they know where I put my trash, and so like they'll go look for it there and find it there, and haul it away the next Monday. But like I don't know that they're going to a scale to weigh that up. Then they're probably just getting taking care of the logistics of that. Like, all right, get these into a trash bin and get these off to the landfill. But I don't know if there'd be a way to do that logistically that's reasonable.
Might be a challenge, but Ron also had a very good turnout. So he had, you were there as well.
Went quick.
And then Kim mentioned that she had very good turnout as well.
Oh, good.
I sent some pictures. So that was also very good. There's been some other people, I don't know if they kind of saw what was going on or maybe saw some flyers but weren't able to make that particular event, but there's been some folks that have reached out about doing their own kind of cleanups in different parks and stuff. So that was kind of cool to see. So Yeah, there's a couple different cleanup events that kind of went on after ours.
So didn't Madison just do like every park cleanup kind of thing?
Yeah, I think they do that on Earth Day, kind of a big one with their parks. But we had a few businesses reach out and ask about kind of doing a cleanup.
If they're reaching out, like it seems like we could, like if we really wanted to, we could probably grow that, like, and try to challenge more businesses and get in front of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
So there could be opportunity there to do even more, like businesses are always looking, like if we just put it out there, like it's almost like the Field of Dreams, like if we build it, they will come, like stay, like, but like we have to establish like a good plan, and so I don't know, something to think about for future years. I know we've mentioned this idea in the past, but maybe we can think about like how to grow it, because I think there is potential there. Like,
yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of it, would be a lot of interest. That just seems like something that businesses kind of do, as an Earth Day thing or something. So, yeah, I like that a lot.
Do we have like a list of those waterways, those water bodies that would be most in need?
Yeah, I've that question kind of comes up a lot. There's a few kind of hot spots, like we know Dunn's Marsh area every year is gonna be kind of a hot spot. Saline usually is, kind of, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a waterway.
we just do kind of like the corridors to Swan Creek, but like, like there's some limitations with like going to the actual waterways, and like, kind of more safety concerns with that. Like there's other areas that we could do, like along the bike trail with,
The path along Fish Hatchery Road often is littered with a lot of litter.
That'd be a great kind of corridor to go, because, everything is gonna end up in a waterway eventually. So if you pick it up and it's in a park,
And I feel like there's places, for instance, along the path along Fish Hatchery Road, there's a lot of litter, and then the city comes through and mows the sides of the path and winds up chopping up the garbage and making it more difficult to clean up. You can't expect the guy on the mower to get off every 30 seconds and pick up a piece of trash. He's just gonna do his job and go, but I don't know if we can.
Do you have interns this summer?
We do.
Is that something they could potentially establish, like come up with like, here are areas that if we had enough businesses or crews, like come up with like, generate a list of places that we could potentially, have out, put out there for businesses and groups that want to try to clean them up.
Yeah.
And schedule it with the mowing, so they get out there just ahead of when the mowers get out.
Yeah, so they're not making a mess. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's something they could do. We've tried to come up with like, dirtiest areas.
Well, it doesn't even have to be dirtiest. Like all areas have some trash, but like, what would be like something that's reasonable? Like, if they're going to clean up one stormwater pond and they have a 30-person business, like that's not a good match. Like they'll clean it up in like 10 minutes. So like trying to figure out like, okay, well here's the section that could be for like, a business of like 5 people that wants to get out, and I don't know. Like if they could just, have a little bit of data associated, like here's the total square area, or, and it's public ground, so then there's no trouble that, like.
Sure, right.
I don't know, if they could come up with, generate some type of list, as a baseline, and then we could kind of build on it and kind of throw it out there, and like, I don't even know, like, in terms of like bags or things like that, like if that's something that we would have to provide or budget for.
And that's kind of what we've done is, that's kind of the deal, like we'll gladly provide vests if because we've got them, they're just gonna be sitting in a box otherwise. So yeah, that's, I think part of it is that the city can kind of provide some of the supplies.
Okay. So maybe that's
a good task. Yeah, they're starting next week actually.
Okay. Very good. anything else on,
oh.
you wanna do the hub event?
Yep, and then at the hub, now called Hostahoche, we had the bilingual conservation fair that was held by the Wisconsin Eco Latinos group. Very well attended. I must have been over 100 over the course of the day, I would have to imagine. Really great kind of diverse group of vendors as well. So Diane was there with folks on energy. There was UW Extension.
I think the city had a table.
The city had a table. Yep.
So Phil and Ben and myself and Ron did shifts there as well. So, yeah, it was a cool event.
That's cool, right?
Yeah.
1,000 Friends was there, Urban Triage,
You were there
Bike
earlier.
Fed, Bike Fitchburg, was Rooted there?
Rude was there.
City of Madison was there, so right?
Dane County
Dane County,
was there.
sorry, yeah.
Solid Waste Department was there. talking
DNR
about
was
trash
there.
truck.
Yep, that was cool. The trash lab.
The limnology department was there as well.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, there was a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, Kim, you would have loved it. Right over next to Leopold School. It was a cool event.
Yeah, I really hope that.
Yeah, I saw some pictures of it, and it looked like it was a great event, a great turnout.
Yeah, certainly was.
It's good use of the new space too. I think it worked perfectly for that kind of event. And
Yeah, definitely. I think an opportunity for us to get back in there. Like, I think definitely we'll consider that as a place to go for future events. So, like, if we want to do some multi-family recycling outreach, the hub would be a great place to go and do that. You know, I would love to get back into the Boys and Girls Club and do something there because it's been like I think over 10 years since we did our last event there. So like, there's lots of it provides a new outreach base for us that I think is a really positive space for us to do. Spread our word.
And I think they have grown because they didn't have enough vendors last year. That they did it over in
Elver Park, right?
yes.
Okay.
They didn't have so many people attended. So this one was like, wow.
Great.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Location.
location. That's really good.
So yeah, it'd be great to have them back if they would consider having their Hostahoche again.
Do you have a bigger space here?
Well, they could do
Community
Key Farms
center.
Park, McGaw Park.
Yeah. As far as indoor areas
I'll
though.
be in shortly.
Well, I'm sorry,
I
Kim.
think she was talking in the background. Some kid.
The community center is kind of the option if you're expecting, a very large group.
Because they told me they have more vendors, but they have to say no because they didn't have a space. So I was just like, oh, okay, they need more space.
But like we got the target audience is what I think that obviously wanted to hit.
Yes, definitely. That's true.
So, and if it would have been not as windy outside, maybe it would have been could have spread some more vendors
All
outside.
four
I think.
vendors. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
Well, I wonder too if the Renew Apartments would be open to saying, hey, the clubhouse is right across the street from Hostahoche. If you maybe have 2 nodes.
Yeah.
Possibility. So, all things to think about. The first trial run there, I think it went really well.
And I don't even know if they want to have it in the same location twice. I mean, do they like to move it around to hit different populations probably?
Well, they have, but I think they've also probably established that this is a good hub to reach a lot of people.
Yeah.
In the kind of their target audience. So like, I think it was perfect in terms of location, cool place.
Right.
And then kind of you have your target audience right there.
They were targeting Fitchburg residents. Yes. And I don't know. I think next year they were so happy with the plan. That's what I heard. So I'm just saying, they were so happy with the place that they were like, yes, we want to do it there, but maybe find a bigger space. So I was just like, okay.
Okay.
Something to think about.
Awesome.
All right. Item number 6, council update. Bill?
Yeah,
Hey guys, hey Bill, before you start, I'm really sorry, I have to jump off, but
okay.
thank you all. Great meeting. I'll be in touch.
All right, thanks, Kim.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Thanks. Alrighty, bye.
Bye.
We had some proclamations. Both Arbor Day and Celebrate Trails Day fell on April 25th this year. Economic Development Week, May 4th to 8th. This is Fire Safety Month we're in right now, the month of May. And then I guess an upcoming event here on Friday, Friday morning, bike to work with the mayor. So show up at McKee Farms Park at 7 a.m. and we'll bike over to City Hall right outside here. Recognize the new bicycle-friendly businesses within the city and, you know, a little press release, that kind of thing. Streets-wise, we got our resurfacing project that's gonna start in late May, early June. We're doing about a little over 2.5 miles of roadway and about 1/3 of a mile of paths. It's primarily in the Belmar neighborhood and Tower Hill and Hillside Heights. So if you go to the city's website under Public Works and Transportation, Streets, something like that, you can see the map where all of that's gonna be taking place. But also, if you go to opendata.fitchburgwi.gov and you scroll down, there's a road closure map. So at any day that you like, you can pull up that map and see if your travel plans are gonna be interrupted. I guess Fitchrona Road is gonna be done in 2 phases. So this year, we'll be doing from Nesbitt Road south to Quarry Vista, which is just north of Lacey Road. And then next year, we'll do the southern portion of that, which is gonna be Quarry Vista. There'll be a roundabout put in at Lacey and Fitchrona, and then the southern terminus of that project is at Tonto Drive, which is, I feel like maybe 1/2 mile or so south of Lacey Road. We have a grant to help replace some of our high pressure sodium vapor lights to LEDs. And if you go to our city's GIS maps page, and scroll down, you can find, or no, not scroll down, I think it might be the very first map. You click on it and then under the Public Works icon, there's a layer that shows you every street light in the city. So if you ever, yeah.
I saw that.
Forestry management plan was passed. We've hired a contractor for the design for City Hall and Community Center renovations. So we got our police facility currently under construction. So when the police move out, rather than just, you know, reallocating that space, we're taking the opportunity. You know, City Hall and Community Center are about 30 years old, pushing 30 years old now. So like the whole works is gonna get a bit of a remodel. I'll plug another map. There's a map that includes park amenities. So if you're looking for a park, you can just pull up the map, and then there's a whole bunch of categories on the side. Does it have a ball field? Does it have tennis courts? Does it have a B-cycle station? Does it have a splash pad? That kind of thing. And then you can select that, and it'll show you on the map where the parks are that meet whatever filter criteria you've selected.
You should share that.
I can, yeah. Well, I guess if you want, you could pull it up.
Yeah, where is that? It's on the parks.
Go to opendata.fitchburgwi.gov and then scroll down, I think it's called Park and Open Spaces. While you're doing that, I'll just fill you in on a couple of like housing and other developments. There's that old Phil site at the corner of McCoy and Double M. That's gonna get a new neighborhood there, about 300 apartments, 40 townhomes, 35-ish single-family homes, 120 senior living apartments. So that.
Is that a brownfield site or is it just old fill? You know, like.
Yeah, I think it was fill from. I don't know. It's clean fill. It's
Okay.
not. Yeah, there's nothing toxic there as far as I know. Yeah, here's your map. So. Yeah, go ahead and select drinking fountain or shelter or soccer field or whatever you like. Click on one of those things and then actually you might have to scroll to, the bottom right, apply. And then watch the map light up.
Oh, okay, yep, so I can apply another, it just tells me right here.
Yep.
Let's see, parks with this amenity. I could say, picnic table.
Sure. Now, I don't know whether this is an and or an or filter. Okay, it's probably an or.
Yeah, it is.
Although I guess picnic tables maybe are more common than drinking fountains.
Most parks probably have a picnic table, yeah. Huh.
So.
Yeah, so if you're looking for something to do,
Wow, that's super
Kinda cool.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
yeah. Can't say enough good things about that whole maps page and Dakota.
There's a lot of neat stuff he's
Yeah.
done.
Wow.
He's got some pretty cool stuff
Yeah, that's neat.
available.
In Uptown Fitchburg, which is, if you just take Sherrill out and then we're in the general area of where Lacey turns north and meets up with Sherrill, that general area is gonna have a bunch of new development in the next year or two. It'll
Beyond just the clinic and the.
Yeah, there's gonna be an awful lot going on over there. That whole area is gonna get built out. A lot of housing and
Oh, yeah.
there's,
Grocery store plant potentially in there, I heard.
I think so, and
Logan was telling me
there,
about it, yeah. When we were doing the cleanup, I mean, we were walking down that stretch and so like, he was indicating that there's probably some things coming in here soon.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm not entirely sure where, but there's supposed to be like a proper walkable downtown area that's part of that development that's gonna go in. You mentioned comprehensive plan is getting updated and our zoning ordinance. Our housing study and action plan passed. There's another new multifamily building going in, like across the street on the north side of McKee from in the Target area there in Jamestown Quarry. And those guys are gonna they're still doing natural gas for the hot water system, but for heating and cooling, every unit gets its own mini split heat pump.
interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
And Bowman Plaza on North Fishhatchery Road, right by, so you can see the construction already at City on a Hill. So it's the parcel just to the south where and you may or may not know, the fire department and police department have been doing training exercises in that old building before it gets demolished. But that whole development is moving forward. So that'll be Fitchburg's tallest building, 6 or 7 stories, depending on which side of the hill you're measuring from. And like 120 units per acre, which I think is also a new record for Fitchburg. And then in Terravessa, there's the Cesta Senior Residence. They'll have like 124 independent living apartments, 40 assisted living, and then 12 memory care units there. And those are my highlights from the council.
Very good. What's
Have you
happening?
thought about the traffic that can create that?
Where specifically?
Like in Fitchburg area?
Yes. Well, and so it's interesting you bring that up because I question the Cesta people because they're gonna have underground parking for every one of those independent living units. And if you go to the Terra Vista website, or even the SESTA website, they reference the verbiage on the Terra Vista website that has been there for 7 years, saying that they're planning a community car share program for the residents. And I'm like, hey, do you really need one parking space for each unit?
Right.
You know, you guys reference this car share thing on your website. Do you know anything about it? And then one of the guys there was like, this is the first I'm hearing of it, so I'm not sure. But I mean, yeah, and you know, city staff noted that there is a lot of traffic, you know, a lot of complaints coming out of Terra Vista about parking and traffic. Well, how about we get that car share program? So, I don't know, I went to the Terra Vista website and, you know, they had the contact button and you could submit feedback or whatever, and I asked him about it and I've heard nothing back, so. Yeah, I mean, but so it's good that you asked about that, because I think part of our comprehensive plan and our zoning ordinance, we should have a transit-oriented overlay in our city and say, look, we're gonna cluster all the development along the transit line. You know, Madison has a transportation demand management ordinance. Maybe we need to add that in Fitchburg as well. Yeah, I mean, roads are expensive to build. Nobody likes driving because there's too many cars on the road.
Right.
You know, we gotta go through thousands of tons of road salt every year. That's not good for anybody. So the more people we can get into walkable neighborhoods, and the more people we get on buses and out of cars, the better off the city's gonna be.
Yeah, one of the challenges with Fitchburg, you know, like just the nature of our community, it's an elongated community and there isn't like a central downtown area. So like even with, you know, like I'm close to the uptown area being in Swan Creek, but like, you know, we have all these people in all these complexes, and you know, thank gosh, you know, in the last year we've gotten a quick trip, you know, and that's been used quite a bit by, you know, the people, you know, that live in the area around that. And then there's, you know, essentially one commercial business, you know, there's, you know, that people can go to. There's the Rusty Bee Lounge is pretty much the only place, you know, there's no restaurants that are really walkable. So like, you know, more opportunities for things to be walkable with the nature of our community, I think is, you know, one of our challenges, but, you know, also, you know, maybe an opportunity for us to improve.
Yes.
All right, anything else?
Nope.
All right, thanks, Bill. Staff and commissioner updates. So I think only Ben is here, so no Phil. So I'll let you run with solid waste and stormwater.
Phil did provide me with a little
Okay.
paragraph, so I will
Okay.
read off what he sent. Solid waste, so the food scrap collection program is still going strong at Swan Creek. As of May 5th, they collected approximately 2,345 gallons, so that is estimated to be just shy of 9,000 pounds. And that's been since the end of October last year. And membership also, or registrations continue to grow, so there were 265 as of May 5th. I think that's another 30 or 40 since the previous month. So yeah, the number is continuing to grow, which is what we want to see.
I just like that it's the number of gallons is 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, I saw that. It's a nice number there. And then I did a little presentation to the Green Tier Legacy Communities group, just on Fitchburg's kind of participation in the program and how it all kind of works. And yeah, I got some good feedback on that. I think there were some other interested individuals and kind of just the concept of this program. And then we submitted our annual recycling report to the DNR at the end of April. So that basically is summarizing everything that was collected that's under the city's contract. So Pelletieri provides us data as far as amount of cardboard and different plastics. And I was going to share that, I think, at the next meeting, some kind of data that we've got from Pelletieri on that.
On the food scrap, I think there's, I did talk to somebody at the Eco Latino event, and so, the person that comes out and actually collects it, and so like I said, like getting in there and collecting is going fine. In the winter months, they have to, they kept the locks, or they took the locks off because they're getting frozen. People weren't having trouble getting into them. And they said the contamination spiked a little bit during that period, but now that they have the locks back on, and they attributed that to being like, well, people just are probably swinging by, they didn't see the orange bins, and they see all these bins, so they just probably figure they can throw trash in there, or, so there was a little bit of contamination, but like once they get the locks back on, then the contamination levels stay pretty clean with that. I will add, like, kind of like other community, so Minnesota, I would say, is probably, a step ahead of us. Like if you look at kind of nationally, like California's ahead of Minnesota. Minnesota's a little ahead of us on it. So this is kind of like our, first base is like getting, like people to come and, that voluntary, are coming there and wanting to do this to kind of keep it from going to a landfill. Kind of the next step up in Minnesota is, charging like a community like Fitchburg, for, like you're paying for composting, but you're choosing whether you're participating or not. And so like that's where some things have gotten in Minnesota, like, and that's like the next level of like, we're collecting a very still small percentage of the actual food waste with what we're doing here, but like, that's where some communities in Minnesota are going, and then, California's, another step showing you're paying for it and you have to do it. Yeah. So just to kind of lay that out, like where we're at in the process, but like everybody has to start somewhere, right?
Yep.
So better than nothing.
Yep. All right, stormwater. So we got some draft plans back for head wall replacement. So at McKee Farms Park, there's just some concrete that needs to be replaced. So we'll be looking to do that this winter. We've also got some draft drawings for the Yarmouth Greenway stream bank stabilization project. So I'll do a presentation on this project maybe maybe June or July. It won't go until this winter. We want to do it while the ground is frozen. So we've been kind of reviewing those drawings and then getting documents prepared for the permit application. Contracted with United Grading and Surveying to do some topo survey of the Business Park A and B ponds. So those are the ponds over by Marketplace and Executive Drive, just west of Seminole Highway. So those ponds are the ones that we're anticipating dredging in the next dredging cycle that we do. The storm sewer televising contract was wrapped up. So we got 10,000 feet. We had one of our technicians watch all the video. So yeah, it actually was kind of better than expected. There weren't any major issues, which is good. So the streets that we televised are the streets that are getting resurfaced next year. We just wanted to make sure there wasn't anything wrong underground before we put a fresh coat of pavement on it. Yep, so it actually, no real issues.
Can you describe our sewers? Are they all concrete, and what size?
Yeah, so they're the vast majority of them are concrete or reinforced concrete pipe. There's a very small amount of HDPE or PVC pipe that we have in some non-roadway areas, so out in green space where we're not worried about, you know, heavy loading on it. You could get away with a plastic pipe, but yeah, it's almost all concrete. So the smallest size you're generally gonna see is a 12-inch pipe, so that would be kind of, you have one inlet and then that connects to a manhole or another inlet. So that first run of pipe's gonna be 12 inches.
And then it gets bigger as you work your way towards the pond, right? So as you're picking up water from the development or whatnot, like the sizes get bigger, you know, as you work closer to where it discharges into a pond or.
Capillaries feed into the arteries.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
You got a lot of 12-inch, 15-inch, 18-inch, 24-inch. Those are very common sizes. You got a little 36-inch, 42, 48, 60-inch. Yeah, that would be a cool thing to share maybe at another meeting, just kind of a breakdown. What percentage of the pipes in Fitchburg is what size? Be really easy to pull. We've got all that information in our GIS, so that might be kind of just a interesting thing.
Is any of that televised? Was that recorded? And would it be worth watching to see what does the inside of a storm sewer look like?
Well, you could show a short clip. I mean, like, we can watch a 30-second clip and then you probably have seen enough.
Yeah.
But like, you could at least get a feel for what it looks like.
Yeah, we could show you.
I don't know if there were any altercations with, I sometimes see raccoons.
Yeah, there was.
Heard some horrible things going on down in the storm sewer. Like animal getting attacked down there.
That's Pennywise.
Yeah.
Dogs really gets into those types of interactions.
Your dog.
Well, like you hear something going on in the storm sewer, like, is that cat down there? What's going on down there?
And then we awarded the 2026 Belmar and Tower Hill Utility Improvements Project to Speedway Sand and Gravel. So this project includes some storm sewer upsizing on Crescent Road where there's been some flooding issues over there just in the street, and then one of the condos has had some kind of recurring flooding issues. So this proposed project will alleviate that. We're looking to get started here at the end of May, so May 26th, the day after Memorial Day is when they get going, and they'll probably be working through August. There's also a lot of water main work in this project, so the storm sewer work probably only takes like a month and a half or so, and then the rest of the work will be water main replacement. And we had a bunch of meetings, so we had the Renew the Blue Council, kind of our first meeting. At this point, we've kind of just broken up into different teams. So Ron is on a team that's kind of focusing on data and data analytics. So what data would be useful to have, what do we already have, that kind of thing. And then I'll be on the streets team, so this is going to kind of focus on ways to, I think primarily what we're going to focus in on is kind of tapping into the leaf-free streets thing. Leaves is one of the biggest sources of urban phosphorus, so we're going to talk about, you know, what we could do to kind of get more participation in that program throughout all the different communities in Dane County. Had an update meeting with MMSD and the Capillary Regional Planning Commission regarding potential Badger Mill Creek projects. So if you remember, it's like almost 2 years ago now. There were a bunch of stakeholder meetings for Badger Mill Creek. MMSD is going to be turning off an effluent line that provides some base flow to Badger Mill Creek. So MMSD kind of had this stakeholder group together, just trying to get people to put their heads together and come up with potential projects or ideas to, you know, not necessarily replace the lost effluent, but any kind of general project that would contribute to the health and resiliency of the creek. So
what they're going to turn off is southwest of Goose Lake. That.
Yep, exactly. Yep. So Verona, all their water or all their sewage goes to MMSD for treatment. In the past, it got pumped back to Verona. The idea is, you wanna keep the water in the basin that it came out of, but due to some basically regulatory compliance issues, they're looking to discharge all of that Verona sewage to the Badger Mill Creek after it gets treated, or I'm sorry, to Badfish Creek after it's treated. So yeah, there's been some issues, and stuff is just kind of on hold for a while there's some legal things being worked out. So that's that, and then sustainability. Phil mentioned that any of these things I'm going to say could potentially be an agenda item too in the future if people want more discussion on it. But first, the Board of Public Works and Plan Commission is reviewing an agreement to approve level 3 charging with MG&E. So the utility would like to place 2 charging pedestals with 4 charging ports at the community center. So kind of in the back there. So MG&E would install, own, and operate these chargers for the first 5 years with no cost to Fitchburg. And then following that 5 years, there'd have to be discussion, potentially handing over those chargers to the city to maintain, or just have the stations decommissioned. So I think statute doesn't allow a city to operate level 3 charging stations. They can operate level 2 charging stations, but not level 3. So if
What's the level 3?
that's the fast.
That's
the fast charging.
Yeah, so level 2 is like your standard oven or clothes dryer
220.
outlet, so 220 and 30 amps.
Yeah.
And level, so that's,
Right.
well, I guess it's,
I don't know what the
600 watts-ish, 700 watts, no. I'm off by a factor of 10 there, it's 7,000 watts. The level 3 chargers, I think, are gonna be 180 kilowatts instead of 7 kilowatts.
So, yeah, for whatever reason, statute doesn't allow cities to operate level 3, but the hope is in 5 years that would change.
Yeah.
City, or Fitchburg was selected by the U.S. Green Building Council and Bank of America to participate in the 2026 Lead for Cities National Cohort. So staff will receive free technical assistance, take part in regular cohort member check-ins, and receive a free 1-year organizational membership and complimentary project registration and certification. So there was a kickoff meeting for this that I know Phil participated into, and this might be something that comes up as an agenda item.
Yeah.
Phil can kind of explain more about it and kind of what it all does for the city. Sustain Dane held a breakfast event last month on data centers and their implications for local communities in Wisconsin. Phil reported that it was very well attended.
I think the best attendance I've ever had for a morning breakfast series event.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Well,
was
data
really well
centers,
attended. Like people were really into data centers.
Yeah, very much a hot topic right now.
Yeah, right now.
Mm-hmm. So it was a very insightful meeting. Yeah, that's what I've got for sustainability.
All right.
Which type of charges we have here? Just
Those
level
are- I
1
think
and
those
2?
are 2.
Just level 2?
So item 7D is activities being conducted or monitored by other commissioners. So if there's any other activities that you're involved with on the sustainability, maybe not necessarily related to what we do, you can share those here. I will start with just kind of, I know we didn't have it on the agenda, but just the next couple articles. So I think I have one on food scraps that I had out there earlier, so I'll just rehash that one and like probably send that one out for June, and then I think July would be Kim's plastic one.
Yeah,
And then do you have one?
I was gonna do one, but yeah, Kim should do the July one, I can do the August one.
Okay. What was yours gonna be on?
Unknown, TBD.
Those are the best.
All right, so I think we're set for the next few months on that. Anybody have anything else?
That's what I was gonna talk about. So, I did email, I was hoping to get Kim's input before she dropped off, but I emailed her and asked her if she would prefer June or July.
So yeah, I have that one that I worked like back in January.
Yeah.
That I never sent, so like I just will recirculate it again, but I'm gonna go like touch it up, probably add some new things, like new data.
Right.
And then get that sent out, but that's meant to kind of keep the momentum going on our food scrap program, and then Kim will come up with something in July. So I think we're good. Like I don't have to do too much more work with that article. I just need to update it. So I think we're in pretty good shape.
Ryan, have you done one yet?
You want salt?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for remembering though, Bill.
Energy efficiency.
Yeah. So
We're all covered.
We had a couple month break there where our articles didn't get one in.
Yeah.
Didn't get because Diane had a plastic one that took like 2 months to get in, and then we've been backed up a little bit. Like ideally, we would have gotten Andrew's article out like at the beginning of April when prescribed burns were starting to happen. But it was in
It was in
this last month, so that's good that we got it out there. Sometime in the spring, so I'll take it. Now we'll do the food scrap one, and we'll have the next few months covered. So I think we're in a good position on that.
Do you have a theme for each month? No.
Well, we come up with our own themes. That's the beauty of us all being commissioners. You can come up with your own theme, things that you think are
Data
important.
centers.
I like that. Data centers, right?
Data centers.
Everybody's
Whoa,
gonna
okay.
read.
Well, and often you come up with an idea that should fall in a particular part of the calendar, but due to the scheduling, it just can't happen.
Yeah. We try our best to kind of like time it out with the time of year, like prescribed burns, like it doesn't make a lot of sense to do those in July or August to put that out there, or, December, so like as long as we hit April or May, like we did pretty well with that, all things considered. Food scrap, like right now, like it's a good time to like get people, going on that. Like at this point, like with it being June, I probably will talk a little bit more about like maybe some tips for like, all right, well, people are gonna have to deal with ants, and like I got some good tips from Dane County on like different containers that could be used to kind of help out with potential bug or odor control. And some other people have like idea like sometimes you can just take like a 2-gallon bag and put like just freeze your food scraps so it doesn't you don't get to the fruit flies part of it. So I mean, like everybody's a little different, like how they want to handle it. Some people don't have freezer space, so like you just got to throw a lot of ideas out there, and maybe something hits with people that fits for them.
Well, and then there's certain times a year, late summer, you want to do a watermelon, and suddenly your compost bin is full.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Any other announcements anybody has?
Yeah. Just a reminder, Friday morning, this Friday morning, Bike to Work with the Mayor start at McKee Farms Park. And I guess of interest to the crew here, at the May 4th Public Works meeting, we had a representative from the Madison Metropolitan Sewerage District give us a presentation on current projects that they're working on. I think you guys would all probably geek out on that.
Is that going to be on FACTv maybe?
It's been there for, ever since probably, the meeting was May 4th, so I imagine the meeting was there on May 5th.
Okay, perfect. All right, go check that out. All right.
You can do an article before fall. Yeah.
You want to do another article before fall?
Yeah.
All right.
to get prepared your house for the winter time.
Oh, okay,
Can do that.
got it. All right, well, I think we're looking good on articles. All right. It's good, sometimes we've struggled in that department in the past, but the current crew is ready to write.
That's good.
All right, very good. I think we'll go ahead and adjourn. So we'll adjourn at 8:36. Great job, timekeeper. Kept us on track. Done well ahead of 9 o'clock. So thank you.